Welcome to Lesson 3.1, Historical Empires that Impacted Palestine. Today we'll explore how three great empires, Assyria, Babylon, and Persia, shaped the history, identity, and even the faith of the people of Israel. These weren't just distant superpowers, they were directly used by God in his unfolding plan. Let's start with Assyria. Although it rose and fell long before Christ's birth, its effect on Israel was long-lasting. After King Solomon, the kingdom of Israel split. You had the northern kingdom, which was called Israel, and the southern kingdom called Judah. Both disobeyed God, but the northern kingdom especially turned away from him. And so God raised up Assyria as an instrument of judgment. Around 725 to 722 BC, Assyria invaded and conquered Israel, the northern kingdom. Why? Well, because God's people had forsaken his law, fallen into deep sin, and left no room for repentance. The time for warning had passed. Judgment had come. After the conquest, Assyria scattered the Israelites by deporting many of them to distant lands. In their place, they brought in foreign peoples. Over time, these groups intermarried with the remaining Jews who were left behind in Israel, forming a mixed ethnic and religious group, the Samaritans. The Samaritans blended Jewish worship with pagan beliefs. To Orthodox Jews, they were neither true Jews nor full Gentiles. Because of their idolatrous origins, they were deeply despised, something that helps us understand stories like the parable of the Good Samaritan and Jesus' conversation with the Samaritan woman at the well. About a century later, a new power rose, Babylon. It conquered Assyria and became the dominant force in the region. Meanwhile, Judah and the southern kingdom continued in sin and rebellion. Just as he had done with Israel, God used Babylon to bring judgment. Babylon invaded Judah, destroying Jerusalem, sacked the temple, and took many captives into what became a 70-year exile in Babylon. This moment reshaped the Jewish people spiritually and culturally. After Babylon, finally, we come to Persia. Now, after less than 100 years of Babylonian rule, Persia rose to power and defeated Babylon. Persia also controlled Palestine and had a very different approach. The Persian kings allowed the Jewish exiles to return to Jerusalem. This was the beginning of a period of rebuilding. During this time, the final Old Testament prophets, Haggai, Zechariah, and Malachi, delivered God's messages. Most significantly, the exile had purged the people of idolatry. There was now a deep desire to follow God's law. However, that desire led to the misuse of the law, with human tradition being added, setting the stage for the conflict that we see between Jesus and the religious leaders of his day. As we close Lesson 3.1, we've seen how God used the empires of Assyria, Babylon, and Persia not just as historical forces, but as tools in his divine plan. Assyria brought judgment on rebellious Israel and gave the rise to the Samaritans. Babylon judged Judah, leading to a sobering exile that reshaped Jewish identity. And Persia, in God's mercy, opened the door for return, restoration, and renewal. Yet even in that season, seeds were sown that would later lead to legalism and tradition overtaking true faith. History is not just a backdrop, it's the stage that God prepares to carry out his redemptive plan. In our next lesson, we'll look at two more powerful forces, Greece and Rome. Their influence wasn't just military or political. It shaped the language, culture, and roadways of the world Jesus would enter. So get ready. 3.2 will take us into the world of Greek philosophy, Roman roads, and the perfect timing of Christ's coming. Let's continue discovering how God was at work in history preparing every step for the arrival of his Son.